Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and I am back with another video, this time talking about stupidly expensive and, well, sometimes kind of rare Switch games. And I'll be honest with you guys, I had no idea some of these games I'm going to show you in this video were getting to be kind of expensive and hard to find. Most of these games I've had for years, and you know, I'm not a reseller, so I'm not really following the market that closely. I buy the games, play them, put them in the collection like many of you. But I personally find videos like this to be very handy and also informative because, you know, I'm out at a retro gaming expo, or maybe I'm at a garage sale or a pawn shop or a thrift store, and it's good to know which games are going up in value. With that said, I've got 10 games to show you guys, so let's take a look. We're going to start this off with Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Now, these are going to be in no particular order. I'm just kind of picking some of the more interesting ones out of my collection here. But I was very surprised to see just how crazy expensive this game has gotten over the years. This is a colorful and fun 2D platformer developed by WayForward, and it was released back in 2014. I guess it originally came out on the 3DS and the Wii, but then they eventually ported it over to the Switch. And it's the third game in the much-loved series and continues the adventures of that half-genie hero, Shantae. Now, it's mostly known for its world of really kind of over-the-top pirates and also plenty of cheeky humor. I think one of the reasons why this game is so valuable and probably sought after is because it's considered the best in the series. It's a fantastic game, and I think most people who play it love it, and then they'll want to own a physical copy. Now, price charting has this sitting around $250 up to maybe $300. Obviously, if you've got it sealed for some reason, it's going to go for way more than that. Just a fantastic game, and thankfully I bought my copy years ago. This is an interesting one. So this is Fast RMX, and you'll notice that it's sealed. I don't have a lot of sealed games in my collection, but this is one of them, and I'll tell you why. To start off with, this is a lightning fast, futuristic, like arcade racing game that is exclusive to the original Switch. Now, for years, it looked like this was going to be a digital-only release. That's the way I played it. That's the way I love this game until Super Rare got its hands on this game and put out a physical version, which I myself was very surprised to see because it took years to happen, and I was really happy. And so, of course, I had to pre-order it. And if you haven't played this game, it's just perfect for fans of F-Zero and also Wipeout. It's got this really cool phase-shifting mechanic where each of these tracks has these color-coded like boost pads that are either orange or blue. And then as you drive, you'll phase the color of your ship to match the color of the pads, which will then give you a quick, like turbo boost, or if you mismatch, it'll slow you down. But the reason why mine is still sealed is because, like I said, I had already played it digitally years before the physical came out. And so when I got it, I just wanted it for archival purposes, to own that physical version, to make sure that, 10, 20 years from now, I'd be able to play it, even if the digital version, for some reason went away. But it's a fantastic game, and I'm glad that it got a proper sequel when the Switch 2 launched. That's pretty awesome. Again, that one's also digital only. I'm sure there's going to be a physical version of it. I really hope so. But if you're thinking of getting Fast RMX on the original Switch here, well, that's typically going for about $180 to maybe $250, depending on condition and whether it's open or not. Next up is a game called RXN, and this is the limited edition right here. And this is a game that I picked up from PlayAsia a couple of years ago, and it was published by East Asia Soft. This is a website that I use a lot because often physical versions of Switch and PlayStation games will come out first in Asia. And so this website has those for sale, and they'll ship to the US, but more importantly, they'll tell you if the games also run in English. So that's pretty cool. This game here is a vertical scrolling shooter that was originally released back in 2017, but this physical version came out a year later in 2018. You control a mech that's fighting against organic and mechanical monsters through these kind of branching paths and many different levels. It's a pretty cool game, and it usually goes for around $170. Here's another game I was surprised to see on this list. Like I said, I don't really follow prices that much, and so I was like, wow, it's weird that Worms W.M.D is so expensive. I do appreciate all that Super Rare packed into this, including obviously a physical version of the game, as well as a specific sticker for this game. They do this with all of their games, as well as a full color manual, and then they do these collectible cards. Every release has these collectible cards, and it's part of the complete package if you want to have the entire physical release of this. So very cool. Now, if you're not familiar with the Worms franchise, well, it's very simple. It's basically a turn-based artillery game made by Team 17. They've been making these for probably decades now. This particular one was released back in 2017 for the Switch. And in the game here, you control a team of like these cartoon worms. And basically they take turns moving and then using weapons trying to take out the opposing team. Some of the new features of this game are the addition of vehicles like tanks and helicopters and more. So your worms can get into them, and then you can move around, attack, and also use those vehicles to protect yourself. You can also enter buildings and structures to get some cover, which is also really nice because it adds a little bit more tactical depth, I guess. Many of you might remember that several years ago we took a big road trip down to the Oregon coast and stayed for a week. And we all hung out, and this was one of the games that we played. It was so much fun. And so I would say if you like the Worms series, well, this is an excellent one, and probably why the physical version is in such demand. And so this one typically can go for, say, $200 to $250. Crazy, right? Here is another one I was kind of surprised to see is going up in value. That is Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, the Enhanced Edition. And yes, I'm surprised to see this going up in price, but also too, I kind of understand it as a fan of the series. So what you're seeing here is the new enhanced version of these two classic computer role-playing games that I bought as soon as they were announced. I was so excited to play these, and I love these games back when I would play them originally on my Windows 98 machine. Now, what's cool is that the developers updated pretty much everything here to make them enhanced and kind of run on modern systems like the Switch. And here's some of the things that they changed and added. Like, for instance, they added high-res and widescreen support. They also fixed hundreds of bugs and also added a bunch of quality of life improvements. There's also new content like extra NPCs that you can interact with, as well as new adventure modules and also expanded character classes and skills. It's important to note that there are physical versions for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, which are vastly cheaper than the Switch version. I wonder if the Switch version is so collectible because of the touchscreen. You know, back when these games were first made, they were made to work with a mouse, and so they're very much set up to play that way, and I feel like it works really well with the touchscreen, at least last time I played it, which has been years. But anyways, if you want to get the Switch version, it's going to set you back about $100. Next up is Mushihimesama. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, or as the game is known in the West, it's called Bug Princess. That's at least how I originally played this back on my iPad like years ago. This is another classic bullet hell shoot 'em up by Cave, and it was originally released back in arcades in 2004, but then it was later ported over to the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 4, and the PC. I really dig its mix of fantasy as well as nature and insect-inspired events. You know, it looks unlike any other shoot 'em up out there. You know, most of them kind of look futuristic. They got mechs like previously and spaceships and all that sort of stuff. And here it's more organic looking, it's more lush, it's more exotic. This game is seriously challenging too, especially when things get crazy and the entire screen just gets filled with all these shots. I mean, it's epic. You barely survive it, but it's also awesome too. This game and also its sequel are some of my all-time favorite bullet hell shooters, and so I was happy to pick up this collector's edition, which typically goes for around $100. Here's two more games that I had no idea how much they were going for today. I pretty much just bought these either like walking into a GameStop or like at a retro gaming expo for retail. I didn't pay crazy prices for this, but now they're going for a lot. So the first one, Outlast Bundle of Terror, that includes the original Outlast game, which is a first-person survival horror game, and it also includes the DLC Whistleblower. And then Outlast 2 is a direct sequel to the original and moves the series over to a rural, kind of isolated desert, and it's surrounded by this crazy cult. Things get nutty and scary, and it's fun to play for sure. It's important to know that you can find these physically on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 in a release called Outlast Trinity for way, way less than the Switch versions, which, by the way, will cost you about $100 to $200 a piece, which seems crazy to me. I don't know why that is. Maybe nobody bought them on the Switch? I'm not entirely sure because, technically the visuals are downgraded a little bit on the Switch, but I guess you do get it portably. So I don't know. If you know the reason why these two games are so expensive, let me know down in the comments because I was shocked. Here is one actually I thought might become collectible in the future, and I was right, and that is Thimbleweed Park. This is the big box edition. And there was a lot of excitement when this game was released because it's a brand new point and click adventure game in that kind of Maniac Mansion, Monkey Island style, and it was created by people who worked on those games. So it's got Ron Gilbert here and Gary Winnick, and they both worked on those classic games and brought all of that knowledge and joy to make this game here. The game is set in the 1980s and it centers around this bizarre murder in this small town, and you control 5 different characters as you try to kind of unravel the town's mysteries. And just like Maniac Mansion, this is a mix of kind of dark comedy. It's also got some supernatural elements to it, as well as almost like a commentary on the current state of the gaming industry. It's pretty cool. And this limited run big box edition is a real treat for collectors like me because it has a map of the town. There's also a newspaper in here that is used to kind of fill in the backstory, but also give you clues. There's also a much needed phone book for the town, as well as some fun little stickers. So yeah, I'm not completely surprised this is collectible. Obviously, people love this game, and this particular version right here goes for around $175, maybe $200.
She only wanted one thing, to be a game designer for that awful game company. Mucus phlegm. Uncle Chuck wanted something else for her, but no. She was too selfish. Only wanted to make stupid adventure games.
Here is Deathsmiles 1 and 2, the Love Max edition. I remember the first time I played Deathsmiles on my Xbox 360, and I just couldn't believe how weird and awesome this game is. It's another great shoot 'em up by the masters of the genre, Cave. Now, if you're getting the sense that I try to buy every physical release of theirs, yeah, you're right. I love everything that they do. They're my favorite shoot 'em up developer. This particular version of the game here, I bought while on a trip to Japan a few years ago. I saw it and I was like, I've never seen this version before. I gotta have it. And so I snagged it and brought it back home. It's got some cool stuff in the box here, including the physical game card as well as the soundtrack. And then this right here is a card that includes a downloadable outfit for your character. Although, as I was making this video, I noticed that it expired back in 2024. And I don't think I redeemed it yet. Dope! Now, this version isn't crazy expensive yet. You can still find this Love Max Japanese edition online for about $100. So that, guys, is some stupidly expensive and rare Switch games from my collection, and I am barely scratching the surface here. I have over 300 physical Switch games in my collection, and so I could do many, many more of these videos as we dig deeper into that collection. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, guys, I want to thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and take care.